No, of course, in classic bug style, no basic land, so very susceptible to Loam plus Wasteland.
Yeah. So I know we've seen this a lot. Bug Delver, Rug Delver. I'm just getting interested to pick your brain on we see it go back and forth in between the two decks. You know, is it a meta thing? Is it a style thing?
I think it's a mixture of the two. I personally prefer Rug. I think it's just the more streamlined, more consistent deck. I think it's the better Daze deck of the two.
I mean, that's certainly true, right? It's doing the Delver thing a little bit harder, but it's a little more of a glass cannon.
Yeah, but Abrupt Decay does give you some serious game against certain decks and cards where Rug Delver really struggles.
Right. Noah Cohen, he's on the play. He lost game 2. He's going to start with Deathrite Shaman. Swaney has his own Deathrite Shaman. Interestingly enough, neither player played their Deathrites off of fetch land, so there isn't that much mana. And double Deathrites does create an interesting board state when there's limited fuel in the graveyards. Remember that his mana ability is not actually a mana, like it is not a quote-unquote a mana ability because it targets. So if you go to make mana with Deathrite by targeting a fetch land, your opponent can target the same fetch land in response and deny you mana.
The same thing is true of any of the activated abilities here. Deathrite Shaman's a little confusing because it reads like something that's a cost, but it actually occurs, you know, it needs to activate and be there on targeting and on resolution. So dueling Deathrites can get a little fancy.
Yeah. Well, Noah's going to try to stop the dueling Deathrites thing by simply killing his opponent's Deathrite. The fact that he went first meant he was able to ramp into that turn 2 Liliana of the Veil and edict away his opponent's Deathrite. And oh, the advantages of being on the play in Legacy.
That's a huge deal. I mean, if the play draw here is reversed, it's possible Andrew is doing this exact same thing to Noah.
Right. I mean, they both play both of these cards, and right now you look at the board and you're like, wow, how's Swaney going to come back? And you think, well, it's just turn 2, and they both play all the same cards. How can it be that bad?
But it's pretty bad.
It reminds me, like, gosh, was it? There's some situations in Magic, it's just like the play matters. And it's like when you're the second person to play a Prodigal Sorcerer, you know, things like that. You're like, oh.
Prodigal Sorcerer is the classic example.
Yeah, it's like, oh, mine's being on the draw is really bad here, huh? And you're like, yeah, well.
The old Legend rule had a lot of that too.
Oh, you mean I got my Linsivy out first?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good, right? You're totally in this game now that your Linsivy can't be cast.
The Pro Tour, the Black Constructed Pro Tour that OSIP won many years ago, very much about the Achroma locking out the other Achromas.
All right, so just a Lightning Bolt to take care of Deathrite Shaman for Swaney. We're going back to Noah Cohen's turn. He's going to start his turn with a Brainstorm. Does have some fetch lands in hand, so it's going to be a full valued Brainstorm. And he's got some options. He's got Hymn to Turok. He can pair that with a Liliana Plus to do some real damage to his Jund opponent, but he doesn't have a threat as of yet.
Yeah, and it's not clear how much of an edge Noah has going long, even if he does some serious damage to Andrew's hand. If Andrew just starts making land drops, he's got the better deck for this kind of game. I mean, he's got, you know, cards like Bloodbraid Elf and Punishing Fire.
Yeah, if he can establish Punishing Fire Grove, none of this discard matters. So he's going to, puts 2 back, and now cracks a fetch land. Quote unquote, what is it, a true Brainstorm? Is that what that's?
Cedric likes the term perfect Brainstorm.
Perfect Brainstorm.
I just refer to it as a brainstorm.
I mean, Brainstorm's always good. That's the best part of it.
Right, I don't like implying that the other ones are not good brainstorms.
No, the cool part about Brainstorm is that you can do the other things with it, right? Yeah. You don't have to, I mean, yeah, it's really broken when you do this, but I suppose this play is why you call it the best card in Legacy. It's because
I don't think, you know, it's one of those cards where no one ever says after they lose a game, man, I just drew too many Brainstorms that match. That's what got me.
You're like, yeah. All right, so Hymn to Turok takes care of Tarmogoyf and Punishing Fire, and Noah opts not to use his Liliana of the Veil.
I mean, his hand right now is Wasteland,
Liliana,
Abrupt Decay,
and I think another Liliana.
Liliana. Surprised not to see him discard the Abrupt Decay there. That seems like a free one to get rid of. If you plus the Liliana, then you have an Edict to protect yourself from any of the Abrupt Decay targets.
Mm-hmm. Sylvan Library, great play here by Swaney.
Forget me.
Never mind, yeah.
Never mind, I was totally wrong.
Boy, I wish we had this. If only we had a way to answer the Sylvan Library. And that draw, it is, what's an altar of some sort?
I believe it's Tarmogoyf.
Ooh, it's a nice Tarmogoyf, all right. That's one of the other parts about covering legacies. You get to see like, oh, I'm just gonna play this artist altar, this Foil, what was it? Artist Alter Wasteland into Artist Alter Tarmogoyf into Foil Abrupt's Decay.
Oh, people are passionate about their deck. No doubt about it.
I was exploring how much it would cost just to get like a set of altered ponders. And I was like, oh man, Void Legacy is an investment.
Well, now in fairness,
it's awesome
the altered ponders are not a prerequisite to be able to play in the tournament.
No, not at all. But you want to have them.
Right. Man, all these legacy staples just got so expensive.
Because I want them to be really big ponder.
Like altered ponders.
If you're going to cast Ponder, you should cast it in style. I would ask which Ponder art you is the one you would cast, but I don't know if you've ever cast Ponder.
I have not, no.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's not true. I put in some Delver decks.
Like blue-red Delver, just straight 2-color? The one with Chain Lightnings?
I like the lore one myself.
So the Merfolk one on it?
Yeah.
I like the one which is like a full art where the guy is like reaching up to a giant...
Oh, the promo?
Promo one? Yeah.
I don't play with cards that showed up in the mail. That's
I've heard
not my thing.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Enthusiasts
had to come out of a pack.
I've heard enthusiasts call it the Spirit Bomb Ponder. Apparently. I only kind of get that reference, but it sounds sweet.
So Noah here, unfortunately, cut off a great mana there, just stuck with some incastables in his hand.
And he did take one of the Sylvan Library bonus cards. So, and right now, yeah, it seems like he's just drawing more cards here. We have 2 basics in play for Swaney, Forest and Swamp, 2 duels in play for Noah. And Swaney has the Sylvan Library going. You have to like the Jund player in this situation.
For sure. Things can get really ugly if Noah draws a green source of mana and locks this hand, but as it currently stands here, Andrew with a pretty huge edge.
Well, Noah's going to try to break parity here. He plays a Dark Confidant. Remember, neither player with a 3rd land yet.
If I was Andrew, I'd probably be a little bit more aggressive with this Sylvan Library and just try to burn through.
Getting the first land here is really important.
I'm a big fan of the pay 8 on the first shot if you're playing against a deck that's not really going to tax your life total.
Well, but it's not free against Bug Delver, but I mean, you're not going to have to convince me too hard that paying life to draw extra cards is a bad thing.
Yep.
Drawing cards always feels like winning.
But he's got to, I think it looks like Andrew just took one of the cards there, but he's got to start churning a little bit here.
All right, he gets Wasteland for the turn and Deathrite Shaman. I really like that turn. We see Bob is going to reveal a Hymn to Turok. That deals 2 to him, down to 14. And didn't hit a land despite the extra card. And that was, I think, a key juncture to hit the land, too. Cohen went from 2 land mana sources down to 1, whereas Swaney went from 2 up to 3. Swaney can hit 4 next turn. Suddenly he's playing 2 real cards per turn, whereas Noah's playing 0.
And Noah's hand is all 2s. So it's at this critical point where he draws a green source of mana and unlocks his whole hand. And if he gets hit with another Wasteland, then he's so far away from being able to cast anything that the game may just be out of reach.
I mean, it's like the real land that Noah wants is land 4. That's where he probably starts dominating the game. You know, it's like he's playing 1 spell turn. He gets to play on 2, and his 4 is when he probably gets to suddenly turn the corner and get an advantage.
Yeah.
And that just seems like so far out at this point. So we see Swaney brings a lightning bolt to the Dark Confidant.
And it looks as though Noah has drawn out of it.
Yeah. Clock is accurate here. We have about 7 minutes left in the round. You may have round called for the main part of the Swiss, but this timer is correct here. There's an extension for the players. Into Altered Bayou. Altered Bayou into Altered Tarmogoyf. I like
all
it.
legacy staples,
All
very
legacy
expensive.
Staples, yeah. I mean, you could, if you want to do things, it's probably cheaper, to just get your regular cards and then, enroll in some classes at art school and then do your own alters. I imagine the cost of enrolling in art school may be less than getting all of your deck altered.
It's in the same, it's
right?
in the same sphere,
Yeah. It's like, why'd you do all your own altars? You'd be like, budgetary concerns. All right, Abrupt Decay knocks down the Tarmogoyf. Swaney keeping the board clear. It looks like he just wants to grind this out with Sylvan Library. Normally a pretty good plan, but I mean, Cohen's hand is very stocked.
It is flush right now. Tarmogoyfs are huge. Andrew with not a ton of removal left in his deck to handle these Tarmogoyfs. So.
I feel like Andrew would really needs a card like Liliana or something that can kill things while creating card advantage.
Yes.
To get this game. And he hasn't looked at the card yet, so he can Sylvan Library off it. It's going to, looks like he may keep one bonus card here. We will get a confirmation on whether he's drawing one or two. It's hard to tell at the moment. Yeah, looks like it's two. It is an undecided. Yeah, he draws two, so he's going to go down to 7. Those are expensive bonus cards. But he does get a land there, and he does have a fetch land. That's going to work out really well with Sylvan Library. And he's going to Maelstrom Pulse the Tarmogoyf.
But if Andrew's able to successfully fend off these Tarmogoyfs, there's not a lot left in Noah's deck that can really get the job done from here.
Well, Andrew needs to survive until he starts getting what, like Blood Braids, right?
Blood Braids are a big one, or get Punishing Fire plus Grove online.
Yeah, it does seem like Swaney's having some difficulty getting any of his big card advantage going. Noah's going to go ahead and I like what he's doing here. He's going to fight the fight over the card selection. He Abrupt Decays the Sylvan Library. Swaney cracks a fetch land. Remember, he did leave one card on top of that library that he wasn't happy with.
If Noah's approaching the point where he kind of feels he needs to steal the game, he's way more likely to be able to do that with his Tarmogoyf if Sylvan Library is not in play. So Deathrite Shaman's a little bit threatening, but I think at this point Noah needs to bank on Tarmogoyf's just going to be randomly good and my opponent won't be able to handle it. I can't have him looking at cards.
Draw there for Swaney. So yeah, Bloodbraid Elf, that was one of the guys to say, Bloodbraid Elf, Liliana, or Punishing Grove. Bloodbraid is the draw for Swaney, and now we get to see the deck do what it is supposed to do. Or starts getting that real card advantage.
This could be anywhere from a brick to something like Liliana.
Gonna cascade.
Oh, wow.
And named. I was saying some of the important cards are Bloodbraid and Liliana, so maybe he'll just cast both of them this turn.
Yeah, that's the big one right there.
Yeah. So much advantage, so much card advantage here. You're doing it all without playing blue. That's the remarkable part.
They gave a little love to some of the other colors.
To be fair, I don't know if blue would want Bloodbraid Elf. It's the 3/2 haste isn't really.
You have to be in the
doesn't
market
really feel
for
like
attackers.
a card. Yeah.
It's good against planeswalkers. I mean, maybe you'd want it for that.
Yeah, I can attack a planeswalker.
And you play Craving Tar
the best
Pit
part
from
is you can unsummon it with your own Jace, and so you could just keep recasting it.
Yeah.
You could like brainstorm cards on top of your deck, unsummon it with Jace, recast it. It could be this engine. It'd be a little expensive, but
or you can just do what Andrew's doing. Just beat down.
Yep, uses the Liliana to plus it. The Liliana is taken down, but another Bloodbraid by Andrew. Bloodbraid Elf into Bloodbraid Elf. If you ever played back during Cascade Jund, you're all too familiar with how good this start can be.
Yeah.
He's going to Thoughtseize away the Tarmogoyf. And Noah's hand that seemingly was stocked with 2-drops is now down to just a Hymn to Turok.
These were pretty perfect cascades here for Andrew.
Have Noah down to 5, and I don't think can he survive this turn? He has Thoughtseize and Hymn to Turok. It looks like he's going to die to these Bloodbraids next turn. He'll pass, going to make his opponent turn the card sideways. Andrew's going to do it, and that is game. Andrew Swaney with Jund moves to 4-1, defeating Noah Cohen's Bug Delver deck.
And that was sort of I think that was a pretty quintessential game of why Jund is favored in the matchup. Just better at playing nuts and bolts Magic than something like Bug Delver is. A lot more power for creature-oriented matchups, and I think Bloodbraid is the best card that either of these decks bring to the table in this sort of matchup.
I think it's really fascinating. So Bloodbraid Elf, to me, is like one of the only 4-mana sorcery speed cards that sees play in Legacy that doesn't immediately win the game when you play it. It's close.
Yeah. No, it is one of the few. It is one of the few but it is part of Jun's game plan of just, get value, get value, get value.
Right.
And it's looking to play a longer game anyway, so.
Oh, yeah.